Hello fellows, it's Rami, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about negativity, negative people, negative conversations. So I'm going to be speaking about many different things in regards to negativity, and I'm going to be speaking about myself and how negative I used to be years ago. So I was an incredibly negative person. So if anyone is quite negative, I'm not passing judgment on anyone. I'm not being judgmental towards anyone because I was an incredibly negative person myself years ago, and I was always around negative people. I was around people who were always complaining, who were always saying bad things. They were complaining about the government, they were complaining about not making enough money, they were complaining about how bad life is, they were complaining about things not working out in their lives. So I was constantly seeing them complaining. They were always carrying this kind of negative behavior wherever they went. So I kind of at the time behaved in the same manner because I was around these people. And I'm not judging these people because it's not their fault, because it's my fault. I took their behavior for granted and I applied how they behaved, and the things they complained about I started complaining about as well. So it's not their fault, it's my fault. And I'm not blaming them, I'm blaming myself. So I used to complain a lot about not overcoming my social anxiety when I was lazy, when I wasn't putting the work in, when I wasn't doing, when I wasn't exerting enough effort to overcome it. So I was very lazy, and I used to constantly complain and say it's not working out. I'm still nervous around people, and I still can't make eye contact. I still can't keep a conversation going. I still feel quite judged. I literally still feel naked, and I got over and over again the same feelings. It just didn't go away, and that's one of the things that massively contributed to my negativity. It made me incredibly negative. So if you want to start becoming positive, you've got to eradicate your negativity. You've got to eradicate it. So let's be straight to the point. You've got to. Sometimes you just feel that you can't suppress it normal. So you feel forced to be negative because you've got certain emotions suppressed within yourself, and you feel that you want to get it out. You're desperate to get it out. So negativity and complaining can be a way of just getting these suppressed feelings out. Sorry. So, however, let me just talk about the power of positivity. When I was positive, how things changed for me. So I shifted from being a very negative person, violent, insecure, socially anxious, into a person who is positive, who has motivation, who has got uh, motivation, who is not complaining about the world, not complaining about politics and how bad things are in the world. So when I kind of shifted myself into this mindset, into this psychology, everything around me changed, and I started attracting like-minded people. I started attracting positive people in my life. Positive people came to me because I started becoming positive. I changed my whole identity. I changed my whole behavior, and I started attracting like-minded people, which is great, which is brilliant, and it's a big achievement. It's something I'm proud of. And I'm just proud of myself for being able to talk in front of a camera and to express my feelings and thoughts, and just to be completely myself and to be vulnerable. Sometimes I feel ashamed to be vulnerable and to talk about dark stuff and how suicidal I was and how negative I was, because I feel exposed, I feel judged when I talk about these things. But it's good, it's healthy, because it's not healthy not to feel judged. We all have to feel judged to some extent, but we don't want to overdo it to a point where it cripples us. It causes us a lot of shyness and insecurity and embarrassment. So we don't want to be feeling judged to that degree, but we've all have to feel a little bit judged, because if we hadn't felt judged, we would have run naked on the street. We would have taken our clothes off, and we would have been we wouldn't have cared about anything, and we would have gone completely mad. So it's always important to feel a little bit judged, not to a degree where it cripples you, but just to feel. I'm trying to explain and get my words out right. Sometimes I go blank. It does happen to me. In every video it happens to me. I go blank. I just run out of things to say. Sometimes I need to switch the video off and do a continuation of a certain video from where I left off. So I need to do that in order for me to get things to talk about, get things to. So being positive means being powerful. When you are positive, when you think positively, when you start dissolving negativity and you cut out negative people. I'm not saying cut out negative people. That doesn't mean you should not have compassion for them, because I absolutely have compassion for negative people. I feel sorry for them, and I feel sorry for myself when I was negative, and I still feel somehow sorry for myself up to now. So that doesn't mean I don't get emotional sometimes, and I don't feel sorry for the world, for other people, and for myself. Of course I do. It's quite natural. But I started cutting negative people out of my life. I didn't want to be around negative people all the time, because they used to just give off very negative energy, and it used to affect me, and it used to make me carry out certain behaviors, certain negative behaviors, and it used to make me complain, and it affected me in many ways, and as a consequence it ruined all my relationships with people. So I decided to reduce being around negative people. Sometimes I have to be around negative people, because if I've got a friend who's starting to become negative, I can't just abandon him or her, because I feel hurt when I get abandoned by people. I feel absolutely hurt, and my heart really aches when someone abandons me. So I don't have the heart to abandon someone else. I don't have the heart to cut someone off, or cut someone out of my life, sorry, and to say because he or she is negative, I no longer want to talk to them, and I no longer want to have a friendship with them. So I never said that to anyone, because I never have the heart to do that, because I feel hurt when someone does that to me. It doesn't matter whether the person is a guy or a girl. I feel very hurt. That's why I have compassion when I see people negative and complaining all the time, and complaining about things not working out in their lives, not having a job. There are loads of things you could complain about. You can find absolutely anything you could pick up on and start complaining about. You can complain about not finding a job, not having a girlfriend, not being loved by people, being humiliated, having social anxiety, a parent being abusive towards you, being bullied by some people. So there are loads of things you can complain about. But we've got to, of course, everyone at some stage was negative, because we're only human. If we weren't negative at some stage of our lives, we wouldn't be human. So that's absolutely understandable, to be negative and to complain. But it's not a place we want to stay at, so we've got to shift immediately. So when we complain, we've got to learn the positives out of it, the pros and cons of it, to learn how we can turn it into positive, and how we can make our thinking more positive by observing the negative shadows in ourselves. As Johnny Barber speaks, the shadow. So the shadow is what caused me embarrassment and shame, and is what made me quite negative, and it made me complain about people, it made me complain about the world. It's the shadow, the unobserved mind. Because my mind was unobserved. I didn't have self-awareness at the time. I wasn't consciously aware of myself, if that makes sense. So I was carrying a lot of unconscious behaviors, and I was doing lots of unconscious things, which I'm not ashamed about. I'm absolutely not ashamed about it, because I have to speak about the mistakes I did in order to get things right, because I can't get things right if I don't admit my mistakes, and I'm not ashamed to admit my mistakes to other people. I did lots of mistakes. Now let me talk about another subject, which is approaching girls on the street. Approaching girls on the street. That's one of the most terrifying, horrifying fears I've ever had, because I didn't feel good enough. So every time I was in a close proximity with a girl, I would feel absolute terror. My heart would start beating, my mind would be racing off with neurotic thoughts, and I would get panic attacks and feel absolutely worthless as soon as I get to a close proximity with a girl. That's how terrifying this fear had been for me for many years. And I used to see lots of attractive girls down the street, but I didn't have the courage to go over and to approach any of them, because I was afraid, and that's one of the things that made me quite negative, because I used to complain about it a lot. I used to complain a lot about not being able to approach, because I was crippled with shyness. I had massive approach anxiety. If I see an attractive girl on the street, I was afraid of going over and expressing myself and telling her how I feel. The video is about to end now, guys, so I'm gonna leave off here. I'm gonna do a continuation of this video, talking about my approach anxiety and feelings of low self-esteem and all that sort of different stuff. So I'm gonna leave off from here and speak to you soon.